What is van life like? Adventures. Big ones, little ones, some you love, some you hate, all you learn from. For me, it began with the building of the van, and that is a great place to start. It was during COVID. My business had shut down. All I had was time on my hands and fear. I found van life on YouTube. I'd always wanted a tiny house. I researched whether it was possible that I could actually afford it. I ordered a van. I had 4 months. During those 4 months, I planned out every square inch. I got 1-inch graph paper. I drew the whole thing out like 5,000 times. I joined the ProMaster forum where I got advice from other people. I ordered all the stuff like you have to decide what you personally perceive it needs to be. Like some people are adventurers, some people like bike trips, some people are skiers. I, on the other hand, was somebody that was just wanted to travel to beautiful places, sit in the van and write, maybe take a kayak out, maybe a bike ride, a little hike here and there. And I wanted to write in the van. So like I was looking for a tiny house. So my main thing was I wanted lots of space. I wanted all the luxuries of a home, and it had to cost under a certain budget, which for me, I couldn't put more than 10 grand into the base of it, which was hard back then because the electrical systems cost close to twice as much as what they cost now. But I spent that time like getting everything together, working out every detail. Then the van arrived and I freaked out. What have I got myself into? It was this big, giant, heavy piece of metal asking for skills that I only knew on paper. Except like I was a fine arts major, and fine arts people usually have worked in a zillion different mediums. So I was very familiar with dealing with cutting wood and whatnot. But the plumbing and the electric was like a total mystery. So I sat on the back of a van and just like, what have I got myself into? It was like really scary. But all you can do is like move past the fear. So I like picked the one thing that I could do easily. And that's what van life is like. Starting with one thing and just doing it, whether you're building the van or planning a trip or driving to a place and you have no idea where you're going. I mean, it's all about like stuff comes up that you've never done or you're not familiar with, and you just solve the problem and move on. I finally finished the van and I took my first trip, and it was not really all that great. I went to a balloon festival. I met up with some friends that I'd met on the ProMaster forum, which made it more comfortable because like the only time I ever camped was when I was like 20 with my boyfriend on Old Thoreau, like in Cape Cod, like way up near P-Town. We wanted to go dancing in P-Town, and we couldn't afford a motel, so we borrowed my sister's tent and camped at a campsite, one which is really hard to get a reservation at now, even though we got it like on a whim. But that's a whole other issue. But so it was a Harvest Host place I was staying at, and I had to find the place. I had to find the guy in the, like, it was a maple syrup factory place, and I had to find the person, and like he directed me to my spot, and it was like it wasn't easy because I had to figure and find out stuff. But then I got there and it felt a little empty, like, okay, what do I do now? Here I am standing in this place. It's quiet. There's no noise. There's no TV. There's no music. So I cooked and like, but it just felt, I didn't feel at home. But I kept taking trips, and as the trips added up, I felt more at home. And finally, it's like the greatest adventure of my life. So like I took a trip to the South, exploring like Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, meeting up with a friend. That was exciting. Then I booked a trip to Florida that was all state parks. And that was a whole different kind of experience because like the Louisiana stuff was my friend who knew a lot about boondocking sort of guiding me through. And then the state park thing was just a matter of like paying money. Then I went up to Maine and Niagara Falls. Again, all campsites. So this summer, my first big boondocking experience was driving out west to the Upper Peninsula, then North Dakota, then Yellowstone, then South Dakota, then home. And I got to boondock, and it started out again rough. Like, you can't expect to enter van life, this world where there are less conveniences. You're dependent on the weather. You have to make sure you can get water from different places. You have to organize your life around how much water and how much power you have. But at the same time, you open the back doors and the van doors, and the scents that come in, the sounds of animals, the breezes, it's so mind opening that it's beyond any expectation I could have ever had. So you can see that you're getting both extremes, and the beauty of what you're getting in both extremes is you have to jump over the fears to get to the joy. So what do you get from van life? You get soul building. You get to be in touch with your own courage and your own integrity and all kinds of things that you don't get living life on a cell phone. And I think that what you end up getting is more happiness. I watched a TV show. It was a very good TV show. It was like one of those reality shows where this family from Malibu, California, spent the entire summer living in a cabin as if they were pioneers. No electricity, when they got birthday gifts, they actually had to make each other gifts. They had to cut wood, they had to garden, and they had to do all the stuff that they weren't used to at their Malibu home with a pool and fancy phones. And it started out where they fought it, where they went through what I went through, like when I first got the van and I realized that even though I put everything perfectly inch by inch on this 1x1 graph paper, the van was not that exact size. There were odd cutouts. There was a seat that went back into what would have been the shower. There were like things that you discover once you actually get to doing it. But by the end of the show, these kids found more happiness and joy in this simple life that they had been forced into. And I mean, I don't remember, I don't want to put this in their head, but I do believe that one of the outcomes was that they were kind of sad to say goodbye to it. But I forget how that ended. That might be me putting that on it. But as far as van life is concerned, there's going to be downs, but there's going to be ups. And you just have to be willing to have both.